Ladies, let me tell you something right here, right now. You ever been in a situation where you texting this man, send him all the cute little emojis, and he leaves you on red for hours? Or maybe you trying to call and that phone goes straight to voicemail and you sitting there like, what is he doing? Does he even like me? Let me tell you the cold, hard truth. And it's gonna sting a little bit. Sometimes if a man really loves you, he will ignore you. Yeah, I said it, and I'm gonna say it again. If he loves you, he will ignore you. When it comes to love and relationships, a lot of people get caught up in what they see on the surface, the constant texting, the frequent phone calls, the endless back and forth messages that flood your phone all day long. There's this idea floating around that if someone really loves you, they should always be available, always responding, always showing up in every little moment. But here's the thing. Love doesn't always show up in the ways we expect, especially when it comes to men. Their way of expressing love is often different from what society or media might lead us to believe. See, men are wired differently, and they tend to express love through actions rather than constant communication. When a man truly loves a woman, he's not necessarily thinking about texting her every 5 minutes or calling her just to say hey. Instead, he's focused on the bigger picture, on creating a life that will provide for her, protect her, and give her security. That's how love works on his side of the fence. Think about it. A man who's serious about his relationship is out there grinding. He's working overtime, planning, strategizing, hustling, not just for himself, but for the future he wants to build with the woman he loves. That focus, that drive means he's not always going to be right there in front of his phone. Sometimes he's going to be quiet, distant even, but not because he doesn't care. It's because he's investing his energy in something much bigger than just a text conversation. This is where so many misunderstandings happen. When a woman doesn't hear from a man for a while, she might start to feel ignored or unimportant. The mind starts racing with doubts and insecurities. But what if, instead of assuming the worst, she understood that his silence could mean he's working hard for her, that he's building a foundation for a future where she doesn't have to worry about bills, where she can live comfortably, where their family can thrive? Love, in the eyes of a man who's serious, is often about provision and protection. It's about showing up in the ways that count the most, making sure there's food on the table, a roof over their heads, and plans for tomorrow. It's about showing up financially, emotionally, and physically when it matters, not just in a barrage of texts. That's real love. That's a man investing in something bigger than a moment. Now, this doesn't mean a man should completely disappear or neglect the emotional connection. It's about balance. But the key takeaway is understanding that love is not always about constant attention or communication. It's about actions that sometimes require quiet focus. When a man loves you, he's thinking about how to be the best version of himself for you. And sometimes that means he's less present in the day-to-day messages, but more present in the work he's doing to secure a future together. This kind of love demands patience and trust. It calls for a woman to look beyond the surface and see the bigger picture, to trust that his temporary silence isn't a sign of disinterest, but a sign of commitment. To know that sometimes the best way a man can say I love you is not through words, but through his willingness to put in the hard work and sacrifice for your shared future. It's also important to realize that this dynamic isn't about ignoring or neglecting a partner. It's about prioritizing long-term goals. The man who loves you will find ways to communicate and connect, even if it's not constant. He'll make sure you know you're on his mind, but he won't be distracted from the mission he's on. And that mission is to build a life where love isn't just words, but a reality you live every day. Understanding this helps build a stronger foundation in relationships. It encourages women to value men who show love through effort and dedication, rather than just through surface-level gestures. It encourages men to be honest about their priorities and to find ways to balance love and ambition. And ultimately, it fosters a deeper respect for the different ways love can be expressed. So the next time you find yourself wondering why he isn't texting back right away or why he seems distant, remember this: if he truly loves you, he's out there working on a future where the two of you can thrive. His love might not always look like what you expect, but it's there. Quiet, strong, and powerful. It's a love that builds, protects, and endures. That's the kind of love worth waiting for. Silence can be one of the most misunderstood parts of a relationship, especially when it comes from the man you love. Too often, women look at silence or lack of communication as a sign of disinterest or neglect. But that's not always the case. Sometimes silence means something very different. It means focus. It means a man is directing his energy towards something important. And that something might just be the future you two are building together. When a man loves you, he often finds himself in moments of quiet reflection, planning, and grinding. He may not always be chatty or responsive on a constant basis, not because he doesn't care, but because he's trying to focus his mind on creating a better life for you both. Men tend to be solution-oriented. They want to fix problems, build things, and secure stability. This requires concentration and sometimes shutting out distractions, including constant communication. Think about the pressures a man faces: work responsibilities, financial obligations, personal goals, family duties, and the desire to be a provider. When he's serious about his relationship and his future with you, he's often juggling a lot behind the scenes. To do this effectively, he needs space and quiet moments to think clearly and make decisions. That means sometimes stepping back from the day-to-day back and forth messages. Not to ignore you, but to focus on what's most important. This kind of silence isn't cold or uncaring. It's strategic and intentional. It's a man saying, I love you enough to put in the work and make sacrifices, even if it means I can't be as available right now. His mind is working overtime on how to provide more, protect better, and create opportunities that will benefit both of you. It's a deep form of love that's not always loud or flashy, but is powerful and lasting. Unfortunately, many women don't see it that way at first. When the texts stop coming or the calls become fewer, feelings of insecurity and doubt creep in. It's natural to want reassurance, to crave attention, and to feel anxious when that connection seems, but the key is learning to distinguish between silence that signals trouble and silence that signals focus. Silence that signals trouble is when a man disappears without explanation, becomes consistently unavailable, and shows no interest in keeping the relationship healthy. That's not love, that's avoidance, neglect, or worse. But silence that signals focus is accompanied by other signs. He makes time for you when he can. He checks in. He expresses care in ways that fit his busy life. And he's transparent about what he's working on. That's a man who loves deeply but knows how to balance love with responsibility. Understanding this difference requires maturity and patience. It requires a woman to trust the process and believe that love can sometimes be quiet. It means recognizing that love isn't just about the quantity of communication, but the quality of the commitment behind it. A man who loves you will show it in his actions, in his sacrifices, and in his plans, even if he's not always vocal or present in every moment. This silence can also be a powerful test of the relationship's strength. It challenges both partners to grow in trust and faith. For the man, it's a test of his ability to juggle priorities and stay committed despite pressures. For the woman, it's a test of patience and belief in the man's intentions and character. When both sides understand and respect this dynamic, the relationship grows stronger and deeper. Another important aspect is that silence allows space for personal growth for both partners. Sometimes stepping back from constant communication lets a man sort through his thoughts and emotions so he can come back more present and engaged. It's not about shutting you out. It's about coming back stronger. It's about making sure that when he does show up, he's the best version of himself. So instead of jumping to conclusions or filling the silence with doubts, consider what might be going on behind the scenes. Ask yourself if he's showing love in other ways, if he's working toward goals that benefit your future, and if he's making an effort to maintain the connection in ways that fit his current reality. When you understand that silence can mean focus, you'll stop feeling neglected during those quiet periods. You'll start appreciating the grind and the hustle as part of his love language. You'll see that sometimes. The loudest declarations of love come not in words, but in the way he builds and plans for you. At the end of the day, love isn't about constant noise or nonstop contact. It's about presence, commitment, and the quiet dedication to a shared future. When a man loves you, his silence isn't absence. It's a sign that he's focused, intentional, and working hard to give you the love and life you deserve. In relationships, it can sometimes be difficult to tell the difference between a man who is truly committed and one who's just playing games or avoiding responsibility. One of the biggest challenges women face is learning how to distinguish between ghosting and growth, because both can look very similar on the surface. When a man steps back or becomes less available, it's easy to jump to conclusions. But understanding the difference is key to maintaining a healthy relationship and protecting your heart. Ghosting is one of the most painful experiences in modern dating. It's when a person suddenly disappears without explanation, leaving you confused, hurt, and wondering what went wrong. There's no communication, no closure, just silence. Ghosting often signals a lack of respect, commitment, or maturity. It means the person wasn't serious or invested enough to communicate honestly and instead chose to avoid the difficult conversations. When a man ghosts you, it's a clear message that he's not ready or willing to build something real with you. On the other hand, growth looks very different, even if it sometimes feels the same in the moment. Growth means a man is working on himself, his goals, and his future. And that process requires space, focus, and sometimes temporary distance. When a man is growing, he may be less available, but it's because he's investing his time and energy into becoming the kind of man who can be a strong partner for you. Growth is intentional. It's purposeful. It's about building a foundation that can support a lasting relationship. The challenge is that growth often requires patience and trust from both partners. When a man pulls away to focus on his career, personal development, or other responsibilities, it can feel like rejection, but it's not. It's a sign of love expressed through effort and dedication. He's not disappearing because he doesn't care. He's creating a future where he can care for you better. That means sometimes he has to say no to distractions, including constant texting or hanging out, to say yes to bigger dreams. Knowing the difference between ghosting and growth is about paying attention to context and consistency. A man who is growing will still show up in your life, even if less frequently. He'll communicate honestly about what he's working on and why he can't always be as present as you'd like. He'll find ways to let you know you're important, whether through words, actions, or small gestures that show he's thinking of you. Growth doesn't mean neglect. It means prioritizing what's necessary to build a better tomorrow. Conversely, if a man is ghosting, you'll notice a pattern of avoidance, excuses, and lack of transparency. He won't answer your questions, won't return calls, and won't make efforts to reassure you. Ghosting leaves you with uncertainty and pain, while growth leads to understanding and stronger connection, even if it's challenging at times. It's important to remember that growth is not just about the man's actions. It's also about his mindset. A man committed to growth wants to become a better partner, a better provider, and a better person overall. He's willing to face his shortcomings, take responsibility, and make sacrifices. This kind of man values the relationship and knows that sometimes love means doing the hard work behind the scenes before showing up fully. For the woman, recognizing this difference requires self-awareness and emotional intelligence. It means learning to ask the right questions. Is he consistent? When he does communicate, does he explain his absences or silences? Does he show care in ways that fit his current situation? Does he make an effort to stay connected despite his busy schedule? If the answer is yes, then you're likely witnessing growth. On the flip side, if you find yourself constantly chasing him, feeling anxious about where you stand, and getting little to no answers, then you might be dealing with ghosting. And in that case, it's time to protect your heart and set boundaries. Don't waste your energy on someone who won't show up when it counts. Understanding the difference between ghosting and growth also empowers you to communicate your needs clearly. If you feel neglected or uncertain, it's okay to express that, but do so with grace and understanding. Let him know you appreciate his efforts, but also need reassurance. A man who's growing will listen, adjust, and try to meet you halfway because he values you and the relationship. At the end of the day, growth is about building something real and lasting. It's about two people working through challenges, trusting the process, and committing to a future together. Ghosting is about avoidance, fear, and a lack of respect. Knowing which one you're dealing with makes all the difference in how you respond, how you heal, and how you move forward. So if a man is less available, don't immediately assume he's lost interest. Look deeper. See if his actions align with growth, consistent care, honesty, and intentional effort. If they do, be patient and supportive. If they don't, protect yourself and know your worth, because you deserve a man who's growing with you. Love is often romanticized as something easy and convenient, constant attention, effortless communication, and moments filled with butterflies and excitement. But real love, the kind that lasts and builds a future, isn't always convenient. It demands sacrifice. It asks for patience. It requires prioritizing the long-term well-being of the relationship over momentary desires. When a man truly loves you, he's willing to sacrifice comfort and convenience to build something meaningful. Many people misunderstand what it means to love someone. They think love is about doing what feels good in the moment, answering every text immediately, always being available to hang out, and showing affection constantly. While these things can be nice, they are surface-level expressions of love. They don't necessarily reflect the deeper commitment a man has when he's serious about building a future with you. A real man who loves you will sometimes say no to distractions because he understands the importance of focus and hard work. He knows that being constantly available might make you happy in the short term, but it won't build the secure, stable life you deserve in the long term. Instead of always texting back instantly or spending every free minute with you, he might prioritize things like his career, his personal growth, or even managing his responsibilities so he can provide better. Sacrifice means he might skip a night out with friends or turn down a social event because he's working late or handling responsibilities. It means sometimes he won't be able to drop everything just to respond to you. Not because he doesn't care, but because he's making sure he's able to take care of you tomorrow. This is love expressed through intentional choices, choosing what benefits you both in the long run, even if it feels inconvenient in the moment. Sacrifice also means a man is willing to put your needs above his immediate desires. Maybe he's tired after a long day, but still pushes himself to check in on you or help solve a problem you're facing. Maybe he's giving up some personal leisure time to invest in his work or education so he can create a better future for you both. These sacrifices show that his love isn't just words, it's action. The willingness to sacrifice isn't about losing yourself or ignoring your needs either. It's about balancing priorities and making tough decisions that favor the relationship's health and longevity. A man who loves you deeply understands that sometimes the best way to show love is to do what's necessary, not just what's easy or comfortable. Unfortunately, many women interpret a lack of constant availability as a lack of love, which can cause frustration and hurt feelings. But understanding that love involves sacrifice can shift that perspective. Instead of feeling ignored or unimportant, you begin to see the bigger picture. He's doing the hard work now so that you both don't have to struggle later. His sacrifices are investments in the life you'll share. It's important to recognize that sacrifice and love also builds respect and trust. When a man consistently puts effort into the relationship, even when it's inconvenient, it proves his commitment and reliability. You can trust that he's serious and that he values you enough to make difficult choices for your future together. This kind of love also encourages growth in both partners. When a man sacrifices for the relationship, it inspires the woman to grow alongside him, supporting his dreams, understanding his challenges, and working together toward shared goals. It fosters a partnership where both individuals are willing to give up short-term pleasures for long-term gains. Of course, sacrifice should be mutual. Love is a two-way street, and both partners need to make sacrifices to nurture the relationship. When both people prioritize each other's happiness and the health of the relationship over convenience, the bond becomes stronger and more resilient. In practical terms, this means understanding and appreciating when your man isn't always available or responsive, especially when he's working hard to provide or improve himself. It means recognizing that his absence in certain moments doesn't mean absence in heart or mind. His sacrifices show up in how he plans for the future, how he protects the relationship, and how he invests in your shared dreams. At the same time, it's crucial to maintain open communication about needs and boundaries. Sacrifice isn't about neglect or taking each other for granted. It's about making intentional choices with love at the center. When both partners are honest about their needs and willing to adjust, sacrifices become expressions of care rather than burden. Ultimately, love that involves sacrifice is a powerful and beautiful thing. It's a love that goes beyond feelings and convenience. It's a love that builds, protects, and endures. It's the kind of love that stands the test of time because it's rooted in commitment, responsibility, and the willingness to put each other first, sometimes even when it's hard. So when you find yourself wishing he'd be more present or more attentive, try to see the sacrifices he's making behind the scenes. Appreciate that love isn't always about constant attention. Sometimes it's about the quiet, steady sacrifices that lay the foundation for a lifetime of happiness together. Patience is one of the most powerful virtues you can develop in any relationship, especially when you're waiting for a man who truly loves you but isn't always present in the way you expect. In today's fast-pacing world, where instant gratification is the norm and communication is constant, it's easy to lose patience when someone you care about doesn't immediately respond or isn't always available. But patience in love is not just about waiting, it's about trusting the process and believing in the person and the relationship, even when things aren't perfectly clear. When a man loves you, sometimes he's not able to be there every second of the day because life demands his attention elsewhere. Maybe he's hustling at work, trying to build a career that can provide security for the both of you. Maybe he's dealing with personal challenges that require his focus and energy. Or maybe he's simply a man who expresses love through actions rather than constant words. Whatever the reason, impatience can cause you to misinterpret his absence as disinterest or rejection. Patience gives you the space to see beyond the moment. It allows you to understand that love is not always loud and flashy. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and reserved. Patience means recognizing that a man who loves you might not be texting or calling you every hour, but is thinking of you, planning for you, and working toward a future that includes you. It means giving him the grace to do what he needs to do without jumping to conclusions or filling the silence with doubt. This kind of patience is an active choice. It's not just about sitting back and hoping for the best. It's about having faith in the relationship and the man you love. It's about choosing to believe in his intentions, even when his actions don't perfectly match your expectations. It's about building your own strength and trust, knowing that love is often tested in moments of waiting. Impatience, on the other hand, can create unnecessary tension and conflict. It can lead to constant questioning, jealousy, and anxiety, all of which can put pressure on the relationship. When you're impatient, you might demand explanations or immediate attention that a man isn't able to give at the moment. This can make him feel overwhelmed or misunderstood, which might push him further away. Patience helps to forward this destructive cycle by fostering understanding and calm. Moreover, patience is a sign of emotional maturity. It shows that you're capable of managing your emotions and not letting insecurity or fear dictate your reactions. It means you're secure enough to trust a man's love even when it's not being expressed in the way you initially want. This kind of emotional strength is attractive and creates a safe space for love to grow. Patience also strengthens the foundation of the relationship. When both partners are patient with each other, they create room for growth, forgiveness, and deeper connection. It allows time for challenges to be worked through and for both people to evolve individually and together. Love that rushes often misses the depth and resilience that patience cultivates. That doesn't mean patience is a free pass for being treated poorly or ignored indefinitely. It's important to set healthy boundaries and communicate your needs clearly. Patience works best when combined with respect, both for yourself and the other person. If you find that your patience is constantly being tested without any effort or progress from his side, that's a signal to reevaluate the relationship. But when patience is genuine and mutual is transformative. It turns waiting into a time of growth, reflection, and preparation for something greater. It helps you build trust, not just in him, but in yourself and the relationship's potential. It allows you to celebrate the small signs of love and commitment rather than focusing only on. In practice, patience might look like not sending that follow-up text immediately after no reply, choosing to believe that he'll get back to you when he can. It might mean focusing on your own goals, hobbies, and friendships instead of obsessing over his attention. It might mean having conversations about how you both can manage time and communication in a way that works without constant pressure. Remember, patience is not passive. It's an active, intentional decision to keep faith in love even when it's not obvious. It's a quiet strength that allows love to breathe and grow on its own timeline. It's about understanding that love doesn't always arrive on your schedule, but on the right schedule. The one that leads to real, lasting connection. So if you find yourself feeling frustrated or doubtful because he's not always around or responsive, take a deep breath and practice patience. Trust that if he loves you, he's working in his own way to show it, and sometimes that means being patient enough to let love unfold naturally. Because love that's rushed can break easily, but love nurtured with patience lasts a lifetime. Trust is the bedrock of any meaningful relationship. Without it, love struggles to survive and insecurity takes root. When a man loves you, trust becomes not just something you feel, but something you see in his actions, consistency, and integrity. Building trust isn't always easy, especially when actions don't always match expectations or when silence creates room for doubt. But understanding how trust works in love can transform your relationship and your peace of mind. Trust isn't built overnight. It develops slowly through repeated experiences where a man proves that he's reliable, honest, and committed. When he loves you, he will show up even when it's inconvenient, keep his promises, and be transparent about his life and intentions. Trust grows from these patterns of behavior that tell you, you can count on me. It's not about perfection. Everyone makes mistakes. But about a consistent effort to be truthful and one of the reasons trust can be challenging is because love often comes with vulnerability. When you open your heart, you expose yourself to the risk of hurt and betrayal. This makes it natural to question or doubt when a man isn't always present or communicative. But trust asks you to look beyond the immediate feelings of uncertainty and believe in the bigger picture, that his love is genuine, even if it's not expressed in the ways you expect all the time. A man who loves you will work to maintain trust, even when it requires hard conversations or admitting faults. He understands that trust isn't given blindly, it's earned through honesty and respect. He'll keep you in the loop about what's going on in his life, whether it's his struggles, his successes, or his plans. This transparency creates a foundation where both partners feel secure and valued. Trust also means giving a man the benefit of the doubt. If he's usually consistent but misses a call or takes longer to respond, trusting means not immediately assuming the worst. It means believing that he has a reason, one that he'll explain when he can, and not letting your imagination fill in negative stories. This doesn't mean ignoring red flags, but rather having a balanced approach that recognizes patterns and intentions. Building trust requires patience and communication from both sides. You have to be willing to express your needs for reassurance and clarity without blaming or attacking. He has to be willing to listen and respond with openness. When both partners commit to this level of honesty, trust deepens and becomes a safe harbor during difficult times. Trust is also tied closely to respect. When a man respects you, he honors your feelings, values your opinions, and treats you with kindness. Respectful behavior strengthens trust because it shows that he cares about your well-being beyond just his own desires. This respect is shown in small daily actions, listening when you speak, being punctual, following through on plans, and valuing your time and emotions. When trust is solid, it reduces anxiety and insecurity. You stop questioning his intentions at every silence or delay. You start believing in the love he's shown through his actions, even if it doesn't always come in words or constant attention. This peace of mind allows the relationship to grow in deeper ways, with both partners feeling safe to be themselves and share honestly. It's important to remember that trust isn't static. It requires ongoing effort. Life brings changes and challenges that test trust. Whether it's a busy schedule, personal struggles, or external pressures, a man who loves you will continuously work to reinforce trust, especially when obstacles arise. This means staying committed to you even when things get tough, being honest about his feelings, and prioritizing your relationship. On the other hand, if trust is broken through lies, secrecy, or neglect, rebuilding it takes time and sincere effort. Both partners must be willing to heal and forgive while establishing new patterns of transparency and respect. Without this commitment, distrust can fester and undermine the love you share. Trust also empowers you to give love freely rather than holding back out of fear. When you trust a man's love, you can fully engage in the relationship, share your vulnerabilities, and accept his without hesitation. This openness creates a powerful bond that deepens intimacy and connection. Finally, trust lets you enjoy love without constant worry or doubt. It's the foundation that supports hope, commitment, and a shared vision for the future. When a man loves you and builds trust, you don't have to guess where you stand. You know it through the consistent, loving actions he takes. So if you find yourself struggling with doubts or insecurities, remember that trust is built through time, communication, and consistent care. Look for the ways he shows up for you, even if it's not always in ways you expect. Give him the benefit of the doubt, communicate your needs clearly, and observe his commitment over time. Trust isn't just about believing in him, it's about believing in the love you're building together. And when that trust is strong, nothing can shake the foundation you've laid. It's the quiet assurance that says if he loves you, he will not only show it, he will prove it over and over again.